He lives in one of the wealthiest places on Earth, surrounded by billionaires. Yet no one in Monaco is richer than him. His name isn't splashed across magazine covers, but his fortune is staggering. This is the ultra-private, ultra-luxurious life of Monaco's richest man, and how he quietly became one of Europe's wealthiest power players. In a place where yachts outnumber taxis and billionaires sip coffee across from Formula One drivers, standing out in Monaco isn't easy. But Stefano Ricci does it without ever trying. He's not flashy, he's not loud, and most people walking past him on the Boulevard des Moulins wouldn't recognize his face. Yet, he quietly holds the title of Monaco's richest man with an estimated net worth of $11 billion according to Forbes. Born in Pescara, Italy, Ricci didn't come from royalty or an oil dynasty. He studied nuclear engineering in Milan, a far cry from the pharmaceutical empire he would later build. His story is one of strategic moves rather than sudden stardom. He transformed a small family distribution company into Alliance Unichem, which became one of Europe's leading pharmaceutical wholesalers. Then came the big leap, a merger with the UK's Boots Group followed by another with Walgreens, creating the Walgreens Boots Alliance, one of the largest pharmacy chains on Earth. At its peak, he was not only CEO but the architect behind a business that touched millions of lives daily, from the US to the UK to the Gulf. But unlike many modern billionaires, Ricci avoids the spotlight. He rarely gives interviews, doesn't flaunt his wealth in social media, and prefers boardrooms to red carpets. Yet, his power is undeniable. As executive vice chairman and the company's largest single shareholder, his fingerprints are still all over one of the most critical sectors in global healthcare. Monaco became his home not for the flash, but for the strategy. A haven of privacy and financial efficiency, the microstate provides Ricci with the perfect base. Sun-soaked streets, elite discretion, and no income tax. While others may parade wealth through champagne yachts and rooftop galas, Ricci remains the quiet giant, commanding a pharmaceutical empire from behind closed doors. He's not just Monaco's wealthiest man, he's its most elusive. A billionaire whose fortune is built on essentials, not extravagance. And even in a land where wealth is normal, his kind of wealth rewrites the rules. But money like that doesn't just sit still. Let's take a look at where and how Monaco's richest man actually lives. Living in Monaco isn't about just having money, it's about knowing how to blend it into the rarest form of privacy. Stefano Ricci lives in Monte Carlo, where the price per square foot of real estate regularly hits $10,000, and the air smells like engine oil from vintage Ferraris and sea salt from $500 million yachts. This isn't Beverly Hills wealth, it's smaller, quieter, more rarefied. In Monaco, privacy is currency, and Ricci trades in it masterfully. Though he avoids the press and never broadcasts his assets, reports suggest that Ricci owns a residence with direct views of Port Hercules, overlooking the very track that transforms into the Monaco Grand Prix circuit every year. From his terrace, he can watch multi-million-dollar race cars scream past luxury yachts, a view that costs tens of millions even before the first glass of champagne is poured. This pocket of Monte Carlo is one of the most exclusive places in the world, not just for its price tag, but for who calls it home. Ricci's neighbors include Prince Albert II, David Coulthard, and a rotating cast of billionaires, crypto kings, and hedge fund heavyweights. Here, everyone is someone and nobody asks questions. His access to Monaco's elite clubs and institutions is essentially unlimited. He can walk into the Yacht Club de Monaco, designed by Lord Norman Foster and reserved for the world's most powerful maritime elite. A few blocks away is the Casino de Monte Carlo, a marble temple of risk and elegance that's not about winning money. It's about proving you don't need it. And if he ever wants to disconnect from the financial chaos he helped build, he can unwind at Thermes Marins Monte Carlo, a 4-story wellness center offering cryotherapy, seawater massages, and $2,000 facial treatments. Yet despite all of this, Ricci doesn't live like a man in need of validation. He isn't photographed stumbling out of nightclubs or throwing parties on rooftops. His version of the billionaire lifestyle is precise, controlled, and closely embedded in Monaco's DNA. Elegance without noise, power without chaos. Of course, when you live like this, your ride has to match the view. Let's talk yachts, jets, and exotic machines. In Monaco, the streets hum with horsepower and status. It's the only place in the world where a Lamborghini Aventador might just be another car in line at the valet. But Stefano Ricci, true to his character, moves differently. While others flash their chrome and rev their egos, Ricci is more measured. Spotted behind the wheel of a Maybach or gliding silently in a custom Bentley, vehicles that whisper wealth instead of shouting it. These aren't showroom trophies, they're carefully chosen machines that match his tone, which is quiet, dominant, and unmistakably upper tier. When it comes to the skies, Ricci doesn't fly commercial. Tied to his position at Walgreens Boots Alliance, he often flies via corporate jet, part of the company's global executive operations. These aren't Instagrammable private planes with gold seatbelts and champagne selfies, they are executive workspaces, optimized for meetings at 30,000 feet. Think G650s or Bombardier Globals with sleek interiors and communication systems that keep him dialed into boardrooms while crossing continents. Yachts in Monaco are as common as coffee shops, but owning one is a statement, and renting the right one at the right time is a power move. Ricci doesn't maintain a fleet like some of his peers, but during elite events like the Monaco Grand Prix or the Monaco Yacht Show, he's been known to charter super yachts that redefine luxury. We're talking 200-foot vessels outfitted with infinity pools, helipads, and entire floors of private suites. Floating cities reserved for royalty, CEOs, and select inner circles. What sets Ricci apart is that nothing feels like a show. He doesn't chase headlines or Instagram likes, he values efficiency over flamboyance. In a region where appearances matter more than air, his movements are deliberate. He doesn't need to be the loudest engine in the harbor, he only needs to be the smartest man in the room when the anchor drops. Whether it's a chauffeured Bentley cutting through Casino Square or a jet waiting quietly on the tarmac, every move Ricci makes is calibrated. Not for attention, for access, for leverage, for control. But Ricci's real power isn't just found in garages or penthouses, it's in boardrooms across the world. Stefano Ricci didn't inherit an empire, he engineered one. What began as a small family-run pharmaceutical wholesaler in Italy became the foundation for one of the most powerful retail healthcare machines on Earth. His approach wasn't loud, it wasn't fast, but it was relentless. Move by move, he transformed that modest company into Alliance Unichem, which eventually merged with Boots Group, the iconic British pharmacy chain known for its presence on every high street in the UK. But that was just phase 1. In 2014, Ricci orchestrated a merger that would make him a global force, Walgreens Boots Alliance. Overnight, he became CEO of a healthcare retail giant with more than 13,000 stores in over 9 countries, including the US, UK, and Mexico. Walgreens didn't just fill prescriptions, it filled portfolios, shaped supply chains, and dictated trends in healthcare access across entire continents. Under Ricci's guidance, it became a $100 billion enterprise. A company large enough to impact the price of medicine across markets. What separates Ricci from most CEOs is his comfort in the background. He's never needed to be the face of the brand, he's the architect, not the spokesperson. And yet, his fingerprints are everywhere, from strategic partnerships with distribution giant AmerisourceBergen to alliances with Microsoft for cloud-powered healthcare solutions to investing in VillageMD, a fast-growing network of primary care clinics now embedded inside Walgreens locations. These weren't reactive decisions, they were moves plotted years ahead, designed to put Walgreens at the center of retail medicine's evolution. Even after stepping down as CEO in 2021, Ricci remains vice chairman, still shaping the company's long-term direction. From his perch in Monaco, his business interests continue to stretch from Wall Street boardrooms to biotech firms in Basel to logistics centers in Dubai. This is how Pessina operates. Not with fanfare, but with reach. His network crosses time zones and tax brackets with allies in pharmaceutical boards, hedge funds, and government health agencies. And while many billionaires become the brand, Pessina lets the empire do the talking. Yet despite his business empire, his personal life and connections in high society show just how close his influence runs. Stefano Pessina isn't just Monaco's richest man, he's also part of one of the most discreet and powerful couples in European business. His longtime partner, Ornella Barra, is more than just a companion. She's a pharmaceutical titan in her own right, serving as Chief Operating Officer, International at Walgreens Boots Alliance. Together, they're a quiet force, running a global health empire from behind smoked glass and marble conference rooms, not red carpets. Their relationship blurs the lines between business and personal life. They're frequently seen at high-level economic forums, especially the World Economic Forum in Davos, where billionaires, presidents, and policy architects map out the future of industries, often with Pessina and Barra seated among them. They don't chase attention, they command rooms through influence, not volume. There are no viral clips, no sound bites, just handshakes that change corporate futures. Pessina's circle includes not just board members and investors, but also royalty and heads of state. In Monaco, where power often hides behind polished doors and tinted glass, he's known to be on familiar terms with Prince Albert II and other Monegasque royals. In Italy, his legacy carries significant weight in political and financial circles, with quite support from powerful families and business dynasties. He doesn't lobby loudly or pose for the society pages, he operates through networks built in trust, long-term alliances, and the unspoken power of shared capital. Despite his global influence, Pessina rarely shows up in gossip columns or make headlines for lavish parties. He and Ornella prefer philanthropic functions, often donating quietly to medical and educational causes. In Europe, they've backed university research programs, health innovation platforms, and charitable hospital initiatives, always keeping their name just out of the spotlight. Their attendance at exclusive galas or art auctions is more about connection than display, an extension of their power, not a celebration of it. If Pessina had a motto, it might be, "Move quietly and let the empire speak." His world is polished, strategic, and impenetrable to most outsiders. But it is closely connected to some of the most important players in European politics, business, and royal society. But even billionaires and tax havens have faced scrutiny, so let's explore the controversies and criticisms surrounding his empire. For all the control Stefano Pessina wields behind boardroom doors, even he hasn't escaped controversy. In 2014, his empire found itself at the center of a storm when Walgreens Boots Alliance considered a tax inversion, a move that would have shifted its headquarters from the US to Switzerland to reduce its corporate tax burden. The deal made sense on paper, but it didn't sit well politically. Critics accused the company of dodging responsibility while profiting from American consumers and infrastructure. Headlines lit up, and the backlash was swift. Ultimately, the plan was dropped, but the damage to Walgreens' image lingered. In the United States, the criticism didn't stop there. Senator Bernie Sanders, known for taking on corporate giants, directly called out Walgreens during national debates over pharmaceutical pricing, pointing to Pessina's role in a system that often puts life-saving medicine behind a wall of costs. It became part of a broader narrative, one where billionaires were portrayed as profiting of illnesses, and Pessina, despite his low public profile, was thrust into that conversation. Legal challenges also caught up to the empire. Walgreens has been sued for its role in the US opioid crisis, with allegations that the chain failed to properly monitor and control the distribution of prescription painkillers. Other lawsuits targeted workplace safety and labor issues. Though Pessina was rarely mentioned by name in courtrooms or public statements, the shadow of leadership always lingers. As CEO during many of these decisions, he carried the weight of the company's direction and the consequences that followed. What's striking, though, is how he responds. He doesn't. Not in public, not on Twitter, not in press conferences. Pessina has built a career on letting his corporate machine absorb the hits while he remains behind the curtain, adjusting strategy in silence. Crisis management in his world isn't about spin, it's about structure. And in that structure, he's trusted lawyers, communications teams, and corporate spokespeople to handle the fallout while he focuses on keeping the gears turning. Controversy may surround the empire, but Pessina remains unshaken. While others scramble to find relevance in the next wave of digital disruption, he's already placing bets on what comes next. Investments in AI-driven pharmacy platforms, predictive health data, and digital medicine delivery systems that will define how healthcare functions over the next decade. He's not playing defense, he's architecting the future. He understands that the real evolution of pharmacy isn't just pills and prescriptions, it's algorithms, automation, and AI. From discreet partnerships with digital health startups in London and Zurich, to exploratory ventures in telemedicine infrastructure, Pessina is ensuring that his empire won't just survive the next era, it will quietly own it. He's not doing this with flashy VC fund launches or headlines in TechCrunch. He's doing it from inside quiet boardrooms and private capital rounds, staying invisible while shaping the visible. In Monaco, where legacy isn't just measured in wealth but in continuity, Pessina is securing his future through strategic succession planning and private family trusts. Much of his wealth is expected to remain rooted in Europe, particularly in Monaco's ultra-secure private banks, real estate and holding companies that provide both privacy and power. In a place built for billionaires, Pessina's name carries a certain gravity, not for how often it's spoken, but for how rarely it needs to be. Is Stefano Pessina Monaco's quiet king, or the most underestimated billionaire in Europe? Leave your thoughts in the comments.